welcome to the third episode of the Hishaku Hideout. We're not going to do any kind of long intros today. We're just going to hop straight into it. Dice, if you want to get this
Yo,
chapter
yo.
started.
Yes, sir. Let's just kick it off, right? I did like earlier in the chapter, it's pretty much called I White Purity Style. I like how it goes straight into that, and we get just a full-on explanation behind the technique itself. It did make me think how we have like come this far without really getting like an in-depth explanation of how the technique worked. I mean, obviously we've had some illusions. We've seen other styles clash with the hotel manager, but I do like how we get, I think our first look at Itzo Shirikai, the sword master, and once again like the technique. I was thinking like early, like, man, this guy has some like aura to him, right? Like he clearly obviously like a badass with this technique that everybody mocked and he ended up killing. But I was trying to like put a finger on like what exactly kind of made him look so badass, right? And I think it hit me, man. I think it hit me. He's got that Sukuna pose. He's got the Sukuna earrings and
Yeah.
stuff. And
Anytime you're introduced and you're sitting down like that, you're a badass.
100%.
Like that I'm gonna just start sitting like that in my house. But I don't think I got as much aura as this dude, because like just that line, none of the guys who laughed at me lasted because I cut them down. That's just crazy.
Tough.
Like, I do like that. It's cool seeing that style get like the full style get explained, and it's just nice to have like supplemental information like that, right?
Oh yeah, like it adds like actual life to the world. Like a lot of times people get to criticizing, how stuff doesn't make sense or whatever. And I do like that there is an actual technique to this. It's not just, whatever. There is something that's done. And even then, like we'll see later in the chapter how there's there's even more technique than originally we think.
Yeah, and I do think like Hokazono is, excuse me, I do think Hokazono has a good overview, like a good outline of like what he wants to accomplish. It's not just, he has a plan for these things, because he introduces or he reveals, the actual, like, from the master, how it all works, right? And we get like the foundings of it from the founder. So we're seeing like the exact explanation of how it works, at the perfect time, because like later on in the chapter, this is where Chihiro figures it out. We didn't get this like information. Like Hokazono picked the perfect time to drop this information.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more, because like you said, you don't really get it until the end, right? But it is interesting because at the beginning of the chapter, I was kind of wondering, with the transition to Shirikai's flashback, I was wondering like who exactly was, narrating this stuff and who exactly was recalling these memories, because at first I was like, yo, wait, was it Chihiro? Is it Hirohiko? And obviously, we then find out that it's Ro, and I should have known earlier, right? Considering this is one of the three guys that's named in the, what is it, like in the kind of text of the users of this style. But so it is cool how we get that transition, that it's Ro explaining it to Chihiro, and it's just kind of not clicking for him. And mid-fight with Hirohiko, as Hirohiko's kind of doing his thing with like the invisible blade, you see kind of Chihiro trying to get it, and it's just not clicking for him. And even Hirohiko kind of sees what Chihiro's trying to do. This genius is able to kind of catch Chihiro in the act, right? And kind of see what he's trying to do. And we see how he kind of runs with that.
Wait, maybe I forgot, but you said what, Ro was a master of the AI White Purity style?
No, I meant like Ro was recalling.
Okay, yeah, okay.
He was the one recalling.
I'm sorry, I misheard you.
No, you're good. Maybe I didn't state that in the best way.
Oh,
I meant Shirikai. Shirikai was one of the four users. We still haven't found out, who that fourth user is. I think we'll pretty soon get confirmation that it
Well,
is
it'd be,
Yori, right?
well, it'd be, yeah, yeah, for sure. Iori, Uraha, Samura, because they go out the way to call like Samura a master. Like when they introduce his like name card, it does say master on it, and if he's a master, then that means he is able to teach it. You know.
Yeah.
Uh, but you I want to say that you did skip over like the MVP of this entire chapter, and you know, I don't know how well we didn't get to him yet, but I just want to
Yeah.
say the goat of the chapter is, the hotel manager's his student.
Oh,
He
this
called
guy.
he called the elevator for Chihiro. That's some goat shit right there, bro. Without that elevator ride, we don't have the chapter.
That's so true.
Like
That's so
he makes a
true.
good bellboy,
I mean, he has to
a
serve for
bellhop.
something, right?
Yeah, facts. Like he got us the key. He caught the elevator for Chihiro. Cause you ever be waiting on an elevator, bro, or waiting for an elevator?
Ah,
Like
bro.
what if motherfucker Chihiro's just sitting there with like looking at his watch? He's like, "Fuck, come on, I'm in a hurry," and he has to.
No, bro.
I'll
He
take the
has to.
stairs. I'll take the stairs, head ass.
No, bro. Yeah, he has to aura farm. Remember, like
Yeah, that's funny, but no, like
around the money.
this Hirohiko, like we talked about it a bit before we started recording. Like Hirohiko, like the choreography that he's so fun for like Hokuzono to like use. I feel like it kind of it shows through the art. Like Hokuzono has fun when he draws Hirohiko, being able to like do these like wild movements, and like
Dude,
his like
yeah.
flipping of the sword, like he goes like behind the back. He goes behind the back with the sword, and then he re-switches his catches it with his right hand, or he catches it with his left hand and he grabs it with his right hand to get his grip back and then swing at Chihiro. That's crazy.
Dude, yeah, and like just to your credit about what you're saying regarding like the artwork and how Hokazono looks like he's having fun kind of drawing Hirohiko, because it's like the angles as well, right? Like you look at some of the angles we see Hirohiko in kind of the latter half of the chapter, and it's just so creative, right? And it really does kind of elevate like the whole sequence and really give you like, I don't know, it just kind of makes everything a bit more immersive in terms of getting the gist and the vibe of what we see really happening, right? Because one thing that we see after those kind of behind the back panels is kind of the reference to the fact that he goes like a wild animal, and how he's just, how that essentially like feeds into his innate talent and his ability to just pick up on stuff and really get the most out of what he's able to see, right? And I do like how we don't really get like a straightforward name for his style, right? We have had like some allusions previously, right? Like the invisible blade and that sort of thing. But I do like how this kind of chapter alludes to him having like pure impulse, pure instinct. And the way I see it is like he's able to develop like his own pure style, his own pure technique based on everything he's able to pick up. And man, we see what gives Chihiro the edge, really, because he sees what Chihiro is trying to do, right? When Chihiro is, like I said, he in that fight, he see what Chihiro is trying to pick up on, and he starts replicating himself. But we soon get to see what gives Chihiro the edge.
Yeah, and with like Hirohiko, to talk about his like upbringing or like it being a wild animal in that panel, and slight trigger warning, in the English translations they just say he got assaulted, but in the Japanese translations apparently they actually say that he was getting SA'd.
Yo, I did not know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I saw that tweet about that. I'll pull it up on the screen just in case no one else seen it. But I mean, it's just wild implications
Yeah.
for where Hokuzono is gonna go with this story. Like that's like that's a tone setting, important tone setter. Like that information, because it tells us like how far. I'm sure some people assume that's what he meant, but that just goes to show you what like the things Hokuzono has in store for this story. And his survival instincts. Like he bit a man to death. It's
That's
insane.
insane.
And it's cool, like they're both kind of glazing each other. Chihiro's like remarking, Hirohiko's ability to like just casually regrip his sword, no problems, with all these like complex and wild movements, no problem. And then Hirohiko's like, this guy can visually follow unorthodox movements. He's like, man, this guy, his eyes are, can follow all this shit. And Chihiro has like, calms himself down. He like reconfirms, like, I got the special gift too. And we
Yeah,
know,
he almost has.
like you brought up his eyes, like it's they recontextualize like his move set, like how important it is to his move set and his development, that the gift that his father left him, like was the eyes, that trait, that's a gift, of genetics. It's just is what it is. But like Chihiro is a hard worker. It's a hard thing to juggle, but I think Chihiro's like, he's a balance of both. He can.
Oh yeah.
He could definitely be won the genetic lottery, but he can also be a hard worker. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure. I mean, and we see him constantly tested over and over again,
And he cares.
once again, yeah, and like I said, he works to figure stuff out. Obviously, main characters will have main character, they'll do main character things or whatever. But I don't dislike anything that we see in this chapter. Like, to your credit, once again, what you bring up, I think is amazing in this chapter as well. The fact that they're able to recognize what they're all doing, and like Chihiro almost has to like reaffirm like that he has what it takes to
Yeah,
kind
I'm
of
built different
you know
too.
yeah, exactly. And once again, I do like how he keeps like kind of trying to recall like what a good example of the technique is. He thinks of Samura, he thinks of Uraha, I believe, and like he's trying to recall like the right way to do it, and it doesn't click for him, right? Like it's just not clicking for him, and it's not until he gets to the roof, right, that he sees Yori, and I'll let you kind of get into that.
Yeah, and to go back to the real quick, the one
Oh yeah,
thing
sure.
like Hirohiko's like style that is unique is like his like quote unquote like pure impulse, pure instinct style. Like it's one of one. He can never.
Oh yeah.
No one can do what he's doing. Like it's not something he can like have a student. Like he can't like leave this to a student. He can't have a dojo teaching his style because it's all just in the moment. You can't like Hirohiko, just fighting for his life. You can't replicate that kind of like real life experience. I think
Dude,
Hirohiko's so dope with that.
facts, because like I mean that just got me thinking, because even Chihiro, why wasn't, if Hirohiko was able to like if Chihiro's able to glaze Hirohiko's way of picking it up quickly, why wasn't Chihiro just able to replicate the way Hirohiko was doing it?
Yeah.
Whatever that was, either he couldn't replicate or it wouldn't have given him the edge, right? um so once again, to your credit, I think you're on the money with that.
Yeah, that
Like
real world experience that you can't. That's valuable experience on the battlefield. You can never train, for that.
or even talent, like even if you got like the
True.
Rokuhira eyes, like there's some stuff like maybe if you can see it, but his
Yeah,
body can't keep up.
because Hirohiko doesn't have the eyes at the end of the chapter to be able to go to send the attack and then be able to see what Iori's doing to like copy her. Chihiro has the better eyes for like detail and analyzing. Hirohiko needs to see it, like the move. He can't see like precise, like as precise as Chihiro can, and that's why he lost. To like bring up the comparison, that's why Chihiro came out on top. And like you mentioned, it's because he's right, get to the rooftop with Iori, and he sees her like less vicious, killing speed, like movements for killing. He's seeing a more precise, delicate movement with Iori. Hers is like meant to maim, meant to like push the toxicity away, get rid of the hostility, toxicity. But like
You're right
because
though.
yeah, and because like she was doing that and not killing, it's easier for Chihiro to see these precise, delicate machine-like movements, and then basically master the ability in the moment because of his eyes. His eyes won him this fight.
Oh yeah.
I think that's fair to say. And not that it makes sense, and I love it. This is one of my favorite chapters. This is a top 5 chapter for me altogether, and maybe my favorite chapter of the arc. But it's just with Yori, like I think now I definitely brought it up. I just don't know if it was the first or second episode that I think Samura blinded himself because he couldn't stand like to like see himself kill somebody. He couldn't see him take a body. He couldn't handle it. And I think like Yori, like the reason why she's like she's like emulating her father here, but I think she doesn't. She's delicate. She still has a air of like delicate, like a delicate flower. Like she's dainty. She's not as, I don't know. She just feels like lighter on panel. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, there's definitely like a kind of like a suave like a vibe to like even her movements and the way like Hogazono draws her. Obviously, the fact that she has like the closed eyes obviously gives has to do a lot with like the vibe she's giving off. But definitely like even before the last page of the chapter, kind of like the one pose we see her in before Chihiro and Hirohiko clash with the II white purity style, like there's just like an almost like an elegance to the way she looks, right? And her movements, once again, her style overall. I get what you're saying for sure.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, she does this with her eyes closed, and when she reopens her eyes, we see her look down, and then we see the panel like get pulled down over her eyes, and she looks like she remembers. Like she says, and then she knows everything. I think she knows like, I'm just gonna get into it. I think she knows what happened, and in the war, even though she's technically younger, like a year or two younger than Chihiro. I forget how old she was, but I think she knows what happened, and I think we may get a shocking realization next chapter.
Ooh,
I
that's
think a big might be a big chapter next week. And good thing there's no break week, so we're good.
yeah, man. I kind of like I hadn't really thought of that. I do think I almost feel kind of stupid for not thinking about it because yeah, that last and then she knows everything, unless it's like a clear misdirection, right? I do think the implication
Could be.
is what you're saying, and yeah, that could kind of bring us right back to more Shikoku lore. So that would be crazy. I am almost kind of in like a similar what's next kind of attitude because just to get into like Hirohiko really quick. Um,
Yeah, we kind of skipped over the fact that Hogazono is like trying to say he got bodied. We kind of skipped over that. I skipped over that for a second, but yeah, Hirohiko got bodied. Question mark.
So yeah, just going back to like Hirohiko real quick and like how Chihiro was able to defeat him. It's almost like like Yori drew like the fourth quarter game plan for him, really, and like Chihiro was able to make those adjustments, kind of last second buzzer beater clutch win. Like that's really what it feels like because I'm not sure if Chihiro would have been able to pull it off, right? Like the way Hirohiko was pressing him before that, it is kind of interesting to see what would have happened had Yori not been there, right?
Yeah.
And so it did also, man, people will kind of get tired of my JJK references really quick, but you know what it did make me think of just really quick? It did kind of make me think of, man, I'm opening a can of worms here, but it made me think of Sukuna and Maraga, man, and like kind of once again drawing up the way to be able to execute the technique to get the
So
W.
what
Right?
you're saying is Iori is Maharaga in this scenario.
Hey man, I'm not saying anything. I'm just
Iori
saying,
Raga, yo.
am I
Yo, dead
cooking?
ass. Yeah, no, I mean, hey, I say cook. I can't. I would love to see some memes of Iori drawn as Maharaga. I think that would be hilarious.
Bro.
But no, I mean, you're not wrong. Like I kind of thought of it like a Hikari domain expansion, just an info dump. You know, Chihiro just got an info dump, or like you mentioned, like a manual, like earlier, like a
Oh
manual's
yeah.
downloaded in his brain of how to do it. And it's funny because like I'd like to like put it like this, right? Hirohiko
Yeah.
tries the AI White Fury style on the ground floor, knocks Chihiro down, right? Now they both enter the elevator. Basically, it's now Hirohiko with time to think about like the movements of what he's doing. You could say that he might have like achieved a tad bit higher of a level because of his just innate gift of like not having to think
Hmm.
and just doing it freely. That he might have got the edge over Chihiro and using the style. Like I don't think that's too crazy to say, but I would also
Oh no.
understand if people disagree and say it's dead even. I think that's the implication that if Chihiro doesn't somehow figure this out on the way to the top, that it might not look good for him. But
I
he
agree.
then perfected it and now is above Hirohiko here. You
Yeah,
know,
and the people that want to like kind of the people that hate on Chihiro, once again, the whole talent versus hard work debate. Like, bro, Hirohiko is just as much of a genius. Like, this is a clash between two geniuses. In this case, it's just eyes versus body, really. One guy is able to like improvise almost to like a perfect level, and the other guy is just able to keep up with it. And as soon as he's able to find the opening, he gets the dub. There's not a lot to it here.
yeah, and I mean the the art is so good with Chihiro's like a speed demon, dude. And then he notices like he looks at Iori and his eyes look like they're like stunned. Like he looks kind of like what it's like not shocked,
True.
but it's like his eyes are kind of even opening up. So she might be in a panic. PTSD might be setting in, and that thing might have like compounded some interest over not being remembered for so long. Like
Dude,
it
yeah,
might be
you're
a
right.
whirlwind. Like
You're right.
this might put her down. Like, cause they maybe like the misdirection is like us worrying about Hirohiko's mental health, and it's actually we lose Iori out the story. Like she could have potentially been a third, like the third to our group, our shonen like 3-man group, 2 boys and a girl, right? And she gets taken out the story because of mental issue, like a brain, like that's a severe, that's trauma. You know what I mean? Like that could definitely do it. People
Oh
lose their
yeah.
identity, and like she could have regained her identity and like just get just like poor thing pressed down with like the flashback of it all. And maybe that's how Hokuzono gets away with not telling us what happened again. Or maybe, maybe, and I could be wrong. I hope that's, I hope that doesn't happen. 'Cause I like Iori. I think she's very fresh. She's like, just feels like something like new to the story.
Oh yeah.
Like she doesn't want to kill, so you kind of get like a badass at a discount. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That is interesting because I hadn't really thought of like how exactly like the mental toll could be reflected in where we go from here. Like, is she kind of gonna be taken out of commission similar to the way Hakuri has kind of been written out of the story pretty recently? So will something similar kind of happen to her, and that'll be kind of Hokazono's way from or his way to divert from giving us more about the Shikoku lore, if you're on the if you're right about her knowing the truth about the war, or what exactly she knows. And even then, the fact that everything that she does here, it's emphasized in this chapter that it's because she wants to protect her life at school. Like, this isn't a this might be a 180, I said, like last episode, in terms of what we see from her, but her desire is still the same. This is just her protecting what she wants. So I wouldn't be surprised. honestly, I wouldn't be surprised whichever way we go from here. Like whether she's hell bent on, like going back to her life and maybe doing whatever is necessary to have that life back, or whether she kind of decides to pivot and face the reality that she has in front of her. Um,
Yeah, and you know, I think that I just also had a thought. I mean, my thing is I like when I read something, I don't mind like thinking of a crazy scenario, like a headcanon theory, just to see where it takes me, type thing. But
yeah.
I can also, because this is a shonen and JJK has taught me a lot. I think there also could be a scenario where maybe she does, still join the group, and maybe it turns into them like saving Samura, giving Samura a reason to come back to the good side with like be with his daughter and like, forget like, just try to forge like, try to go on like march on in life with living with what he's done. For his daughter, maybe she's like a strong enough like addition, um, or a reintroduction into his life to kind of make him see the other side of it. And we find out that maybe he did save Uraha too. And then we get
Mm,
he and Chihiro goes back trying to save the sword bearers again, like the other two. You know what I mean? Like, and we continue with like
yeah.
a similar path in the story. This was just a dark detour.
Oh yeah, that would be very interesting to see. I wouldn't necessarily be surprised. We've seen kind of crazier things in shonen, right?
Yeah. And to getting ready to close out the episode, I want to ask you, and this will tie into Hirohiko. Do you think he's dead?
Uh, okay. I don't think so. I might be coping, but I don't think so. And I have kind of two kind of two hopium kind of reasons for this, right? One I already brought up earlier in the episode regarding like the emphasis on the pure, on like his pure instinct, his pure impulse. Now that might just not be much of anything really, and it's like the last bit of glaze kind of emphasizing his talent, to really make Chihiro look all that better, when he defeats him. But I also like Hirohiko, and I think he has a lot more to offer the story if he were to be kept around. Um, I won't say it's wasted potential if he dies or anything like that, because I've been satisfied with everything I've seen. I just would like it obviously to go on for much longer, right? I think my second kind of bit of copium is, and I'll kind of counter this back to you, because I'll counter with my own question is how, I guess, how can I state this? How, or what are the chances? What are the chances, right, that Chihiro doesn't come out of this unscathed? If you kind of, maybe I'm looking too much into it, but if you kind of really stare at the art for too long, and like you said, this really got me going after you brought up the eyes, like Chihiro's face, and there's like blood. Obviously, it could just be Hirohiko's, right? But like, what are the chances? And looking at his stance, kind of like at the end, and once again, there's blood around him. Like once it could be Hirohiko's, but what are the chances Chihiro is injured as well, right? And I'm not sure of whether he'll be out for a commission, but like, am I crazy to think that he might, like, Hirohiko could have gotten him, maybe with not as much of a lethal strike, considering that his eyes. I don't know.
Or you think he might have took his right eye out, or the eye that's shaded out?
No, no, not
Okay.
necessarily like would have taken his eye out, but I'm just saying like his eye,
That
like
would
his
be a
reaction.
that would be a huge shock if like Hokuzono says, "All right, I've been glazing his eyes this whole arc. Let's take one of them
Imagine.
bitches away."
That would be, I mean, if like the trajectory of like the clash, or like like the
Yeah.
two blades, if it was like, if it did give that off, I would bring it up, but I don't think it's anywhere near his face. I don't get that impression at all. It was more like his reaction, like we see him staring down and then look back at Iori. It could just be like you said, like shock or whatever. But the fact that he remains in like the same stance in that last panel, and I don't know, it's just the fact that like you see blood
Oh yeah, there's
around
five.
him in
Yeah,
every single
look at
panel.
it. The tail of his coat, like the tail of his coat. It's like it has blood
Exactly.
dragging. Like it has
Like a
blood.
trail, like he has his own trail, even if it's like ever
Yeah,
so
I
slightly.
agree. I could definitely see him hurt. I could definitely see him at least. I mean, not severely, but maybe. I was thinking, what if he took a finger off? Wait, hold on. Is that finger?
And it
Look,
does get the finger.
look at the finger. There's like a white speed line going through the finger.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it goes all the way up his shoulder as well, but I don't
well,
see
yeah,
any
but I
blood
think
out of it.
that's because it started at the finger and he dragged it, so the speed line's going all the way through the. But I mean, that could just. I mean, nah. I don't, like, it almost looked like it was separated at first, but that's just the way my thing
Mhm.
was loaded up. I mean, I think
Yeah, but
I'm also trying to look for something that's not there right now. Like it's hidden, but no, I think it's a good 50-50, or I would even say 60-40. I'm leaning 70. All right, I'm going 60-40. I'm leaning that he is hurt.
yeah, yeah. I
And
don't think he'll be out of commission,
oh
but
yeah,
I
no.
do think he got hurt.
There was. I think with Hirohiko, I could see him being. We know, like, what if Toto's like entire point of being there this arc is to make sure that Hirohiko gets back. She's like, she's the one
Ooh.
that can teleport to get to him, teleport him out or whatever. Because
MVP.
we've already seen her recall him to her. She already teleported him to her, by the way. Like, we haven't talked about that too much, but that's essentially Hakuri's, like, what Hakuri did to Chihiro. He teleported Chihiro from the theater to Samura. So what's to say Toto doesn't just teleport him out now? And then, like,
Yeah, man.
they get the dude that was stitched up Hirohiko's arms, Best Genius, to stitch up his wound, like his slash that's going through his shoulder and all that, chest and all that. And
Yeah,
it's
all that
yeah,
emphasis.
all that. And
He's gutted,
how
bro.
his
He
sword,
might be done,
how
bro.
his sword is up in the air, and then like you can see it flipping.
Dude, look at the length of the blood like splatter, bro. Like,
Yeah,
dude, he
he
might be done, bro.
from dick to shoulder. Damn.
Bro, we might be like heavy Kobe. Like,
Yeah, but
he
I mean,
might be
this
just
chapter, rate this chapter out of a 10 dice, and we get out of here.
man. I this kind of stuff is always hard for me.
I know
But just
you.
because
In the moment, we also have like recency bias of like just reading it.
yeah, I mean, I guess this will be worth something since I wasn't a big fan of the Yori reveal, right? But I think I told you before we started recording, like, this doesn't make me dislike that anymore. Like, in the sense that, like, this is aging well to me. Like, this is what I would want to see after what we saw takes place last chapter. This makes sense. I like what we're getting here. Yeah, it was a bit kind of a convenient for Chihiro, but hey, this is the way these type of stories are written, right? And I think it makes sense. I have no issue with it at all, and especially because Hirohiko was really formidable himself, right? So whether we see him again or not, I think this chapter is at least a solid 9 out of 10. Really, I have no issues. Um, so yeah, the art, the writing, the little bit of lore, the implications, like you said, just all across the board, just really, really good chapter, if not
Yeah,
great.
I think. I mean, I at least have it as a 9.5 at least. Um,
Yeah, I hear you.
it's I would give this chapter, like, just because of like the choreography, the revelation of like how the AIY purity style, the reveal of how it, the proper usage from the creator, how the founder came of it, and then seeing Yori's, her usage of it helping Chihiro, and if like that's her like addition going forward, even if she gets taken out, of the story, whether she lives or dies, she might just go back to being a student. We never see her again. The I think his panel focus is the actual channel name, but it's the Shonen Pulse podcast. Those guys, Knox, Traffy, Greek Greek Weeb I think is in it, and Yato. They I heard Nox bring up that she could be removed from the story, like, given take away her memories, um then bring them back, like, when they need her again, like if down the line they want to reuse her for some reason, if they like now, if
Damn, bro.
but if what we know now, like I heard Nox say something about that, and this was about like last chapter, and when he said that, it made sense to me. Like I could definitely see that being like a reveal at the end of the story, that you know she tells Ro, like, if Chihiro ever like is in desperate need of like a companion for like down the road, as much as I hate to do it, you can come and get me. And like, and at the last arc she pops up to help Chihiro like clutch up or something like that. That would be huge. But now, like, if it is true where her memory, she like recalls a lot of bad memories, not just about Samura, but maybe what happened in the war. I don't see that happening anymore, but I thought that was a cool last chapter like theory. And like now I'm saying this theory that she might remember, or she might have memories that she didn't want to know about, like, not even just about Samura, but what all entailed about the war. It makes me, wonder, like to your point, like I'm cool with going with no matter which way it goes. If she doesn't know anything about the war, and maybe she's just kind of like shocked at like all the blood at first or something like that, or whatever it may be. Like I'm on board for what Hokuzono is about to give us, because I'm just excited, dude. I really like it. It kind of like I was also a little hesitant to be on board with the Iori thing at first as well, but I kind of like got warmer, and it grew on me throughout the week, and now I'm fully on board with Iori joining it and like her full skill set. Like I was wrong 100%, I'll admit that. Even if she gets taken out here, I love her addition to the story. Great character.
Yeah, facts. And last thing, yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, last thing I was gonna say about Yori is that she almost certainly is gonna get hit with at least I think, with the like, be careful what you wish for type of thing, because it would start to make sense now.
Oh no.
Like the fact that she's been so adamant about like wanting these memories and wanting to remember, and once again, you might just be on the money.
Bro,
in terms of like,
it's worse.
yep.
Kaguri killed her. Oh, imagine if Kaguri killed her.
Like, oh, you mean like she was revived or something? What do you mean?
Like there's a sword through her like stomach or something, and that's she's like looking because she got stabbed. Like the 235 at the end of 235.
You're going dark.
No, I mean,
Right
I
now,
know they're
and
trying
that's
to
why
capture her, but like now seeing that she's like fully unlocked the form, she might be a threat.
You think that might be happening right now?
I'm not saying I think that's what's happening, but it just kind of like hit me in the head. Like when we were just talking, I was like, oh no. And it got kind of like,
Imagine.
what if 235 PTSD? I got the 235 gay PTSD.
I mean, where's Kaguri, man? That's
he's
valid.
up there.
That's valid. That would be very... Oh man, that would be insane. And yeah, and I still, this is like, the Yori thing is really aging really well for me, at least like just quick reactions just one chapter later, as a guy that wasn't a fan of the whole thing. I wasn't a fan of what happened itself, just more like the execution and what led up to it, right? So I'll always kind of I'll always kind of die on that hill. But to me, it wasn't ever like, it wasn't that serious either way, right? It wasn't something that would break where the story was going. So yeah, those are just my last thoughts, really.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's all I have. Anything you want to add? Oh, we'll drop a poll. And y'all look on our community tab. Like, what do you what do
Ooh.
you think happened to Iori? And I'll just put, she died. Her memory, like memories of Samura and what happened in the war shocked her, or she's just it's just it could be a subversion, and she's just like just because she remembered everything, she's just kind of a bit shocked.
Yeah,
Not
man.
nothing really happened to her, but all right, I think that'll do it. Appreciate you listening. Remember, like and subscribe. Peace.
Yes, sir. Peace.